I didn't even look at him when he said it. "Apologize," he snapped, voice shaking with a rage he pretended wasn't for her. "Or I'll divorce you." The word divorce didn't hit me the way he expected. It didn't slice. It didn't bruise. Simply clicked. A switch. A door unlocking. I lifted my eyes slowly, letting him see exactly nothing on my face. No fear. No plea. Just calculation. "Fine," I said. "I'll apologize." He exhaled in relief, stupidly thinking he'd won. He didn't notice that something in me had already gone quiet and cold. When I first met him, he carried gentleness like an instinct. He listened. He watched. He made me feel chosen in a world where choosing felt rare. He introduced her early on, his best friend. She was pretty in that curated way. Soft voice, soft hands, soft lies. She hugged me too long, complimented me with faint insults tucked underneath. I sensed the hunger in her smile, but I told myself to be gracious. He said she'd always been like a sister to him. I believed him. Love makes you choose the truth you prefer. The shift was small at first. He started defending her during harmless conversations, bringing up her opinions when I hadn't asked, laughing at texts I never saw but always heard. Then came the first unmistakable sign. A message preview glowing across his screen at midnight. "She doesn't appreciate what she has. But I do." My breath stilled, but my mind didn't. I didn't confront him. Confrontation gives people time to clean up their messes. Instead, I watched. Patterns formed. Late-night calls ending abruptly when I entered a room. Her perfume lingering on his jacket, though she supposedly hadn't seen him in weeks. A softness in his voice when he said her name he hadn't used with me in months. The heartbreak was there, yes, raw and acidic. But stronger than heartbreak was clarity. And clarity, when paired with silence, becomes the sharpest weapon. I stopped reacting. I smiled more, listened more, agreed to everything he suggested, even when he tested boundaries I once protected. Men like him mistake compliance for weakness. He didn't realize I was mapping every fault line, every lie, every point of leverage he'd handed me across our years together. I gathered evidence quietly, screenshots, phone records, financial statements. Not to expose him then. No. Revenge without precision is just noise. I waited for an opening. He gave me one willingly. When he shouted for me to apologize to her, as if she were the injured party, he unknowingly handed me the ending he deserved. Step 1. Make him believe I'd surrendered. Men like him don't guard themselves when they think they've won. Step 2. Speak to her husband. Not with accusations. Not with drama. Just facts, dates, times, screenshots. Evidence that answered questions he hadn't yet dared to ask. He listened in a silence that felt like held breath before a storm. When he finally spoke, his voice trembled. Not with grief, but fury. Step 3. Meet her. By request of her own husband. She didn't know he knew. Not yet. And that was the point. When I arrived at her house, she opened the door with a smug little lift in her chin, expecting me to grovel. Her husband stood behind her, arms crossed, eyes dark, watching her, watching me. Tension thickened the air like humidity before a tornado. I stepped inside. She tried to touch my arm, mock comfort, but I stepped back calmly. "I'm here to apologize," I said. My husband hadn't come. He trusted me to bow. He always misreads silence as obedience. I looked her in the eyes, slowly, deeply, until her smile faltered. Then I shifted my gaze to her husband before returning to her. "My apology," I said, voice steady, "is for assuming you had any integrity to lose." Her face stiffened. Her husband inhaled sharply. I continued, each word precise, surgical. "I should have known a woman who hides behind friendship to pursue another woman's husband isn't wounded by honesty. She's exposed by it." She blinked rapidly, color draining. "And I'm sorry," I added, leaning in just enough, "for thinking you were clever enough to hide it. You weren't. Not from me. And definitely not from your husband." Her husband stepped forward then, placing the printed screenshots I'd given him on the table between us like evidence at a trial. She stared at them, then at him, then back at me. She broke first. Of course she did. By the time I returned home, the house was quiet. Too quiet. My husband sat at the table, phone in hand, eyes wide. Her husband's voice message still ringing in his ears. He looked at me like I'd become a stranger. "What did you do?" he whispered. I walked past him, collected the folder of divorce papers I'd prepared weeks ago, and placed them in front of him. "You said you'd divorce me," I said. "So I'm agreeing." He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean, I know," I cut in. "But I do." He reached for my wrist. I stepped back. For the first time, he understood. He'd lost control long before this moment. I left him sitting there, surrounded by the ruins of the lies he'd built. Outside, the air felt clean, sharp.
Mine.
People think revenge is fire. But mine was water, silent, patient, inevitable. And as the door closed behind me, I realized something simple. Women like me never bow for truth. We become it.